NOSFERATU is a wet, surreal nightmare of blood and debauchery. There are only a few remakes that are better than the original: The Thing, The Fly, and Ocean's 11. Typically because in all those cases the original was made in such a time that it's a chore to sit through the original, giving the remake a lot of room to expand upon. Well, this, my friends, is no exception. Made over a century after the original, NOSFERATU falls into a rare category that, much like a Christopher Nolan film, no one is telling the director what to do. There's no messaging, no wokeness, no preaching or guilting. Holy shit, it's almost like they went out of their way to entertain you with escapism for the money that you spent, rather than lecture you with Hollywood ideologies. Jesus. Keep this up, Hollywood, and 2025 might actually be a good year for the box office. Set in 1838 during a time of plagues, isolation, and superstition, NOSFERATU tells a tale of a desperate man who is sent to Transylvania to close a real estate deal with a mysterious count, only to find out that he is a murderous psychopath that wants to drink his blood and steal his fiancée from under him. And while I would never usually enjoy a film with Lily Rose Depp, the same actress from Yoga Hosers, Wolf, The Idol, and the tip of Johnny Depp's I have to admit, she's not completely abysmal here. NOSFERATU is like an episode of Breaking Bad. The director is so dedicated to his work that even he can make a pretty shit actor who is shit in everything else come across like an actor who deserves multiple accolades and nominations. Not bad for a guy who's been trying to get this film made since 2015. He's even made Aaron Taylor Johnson and Nicholas Hoult, who were recently in the likes of Kraven the Hunter and Renfield, come across as strong, competent actors. It's almost like these actors are pretty good when given source material and direction that isn't as soft as baby shit. I don't know, Hollywood. Maybe we should bring more capable directors with balls to direct back to the table, rather than have them feel like they were made by a soulless corporation of hacks looking to prioritize flash-in-the-pan profits over storytelling and character arcs. What do you say? Going straight into positives, NOSFERATU is a masterclass in cinematography and world building. Feeling like a golden age Tim Burton film, desaturated in shades of grey and gothic expressionism, but elevated by a hard R rating of nihilism and horniness that reminds you of a Kubrick film. The landscapes are lush and immersive, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was part of a unique universe within itself, rather than a bunch of actors phoning it in amongst a green screen. Oddly enough, this film doesn't even feel like it was filmed in this decade, but rather was plucked out of the 1970s. It has a timeless feel to it, and despite its disturbing visuals of existential dread, it's not a film you want to escape from. Willem Dafoe turns in a stellar performance that just might finally win him an Oscar, perfectly adding a sense of dread, lore, and levity to a film that is meant to represent a godforsaken plague in the 20th century. Unlike his unnecessary role in this year's Beetlejuice, Dafoe demonstrates that he still has fuel in the tank, utilizing all of the qualities that we've always loved about Dafoe.
And I tell you, if we are to tame darkness, we must first face that it exists.
I mean, seriously, in a film where the city is constantly shitting itself, losing its mind, and going to funerals, it's nice watching this guy having an absolute blast as a nutbag that is living his absolute dream, taking out pure unfiltered evil. Anthony Hopkins did a good job of this as well in Coppola's version, relishing in the fight that would scare most men, but I'd argue that Dafoe easily supersedes it. And then we have Bill Skarsgård as the Count himself. I'm not gonna lie, the look and performance that he gave here is far from what I ever would have expected the character to look like. He's not charming like your typical Bela Lugosi type of vampire, but rather looks like the worst kind of creature that Germany had to offer during that time. And that's saying something. If Robert Eggers was trying to encapsulate what a character would look like if he represented the outbreaks of the bubonic plague during the 20th century, well then give this man his flowers, because holy shit, he is unsettling to look at. I won't spoil it here, but it is definitely a case of less being more. For the first third of the film or so, Skarsgård is kept in the shadows, playing off the notion that the fear is often the thing you don't see. And when you do see him in the light, it makes you want to clench your asshole so tight out of fear that he might just do the worst possible thing, without any sense of mercy. And my god, sometimes he does. After flops like the Crow remake and Boy Kills World, it's nice seeing Bill Skarsgård back in good form. You could tell he put everything into this performance. It's like he went out of his way to outdo himself in those It movies, and it fucking works. I thought he was joking when he said he never wants to play a character so evil such as this. It sounded like a puff piece a PR agency would put together to sell a movie, but holy shit, he wasn't joking. People are going to be comparing him to Colin Farrell and how unrecognizable he is, and holy mother of fuck, that voice.
The black omen, do journey in poor health.
With that said, as far as the story goes, NOSFERATU is not giving you anything new when it comes to the storyline. If you know the original source material, then you already know what the essential plot points are. For the most part, it's a pretty faithful adaptation. However, Eggers does spice it up with how violent and horny it can be, adding nuances that take the story into modern cinema without straying from the original elements. In fact, I'm not sure that this film could ever be made by another director at a different time. It utilizes the perfect blend of practical and special effects to really creep you the fuck out, leveraging disturbing and implied imagery from somebody's nightmares rather than cheap, unearned jump scares. Essentially, Orlok is the most unlikable, unredeemable character put to screen. It's like Eggers saw Gary Oldman's romantic take on the character and said, fuck that. Much like the Plague, this guy takes what he wants indiscriminately without a single drop of remorse. And while this film may not be for everyone, as it does move at a slow burn, it's nice to see a dark, gothic film with a singular vision. I mean, let's face it, we're in an era where Hollywood is slapping films from the 1990s across the face with subpar inferior remakes. Because whether you'd like to admit it or not, this is indirectly a remake of Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola. They remembered that Coppola's version of Dracula made money at the box office, and once again it's time to cash in. Once again with a well-known director that you can put above the title, a creepy character actor that's big right now, and essentially a passion project with a big budget that's just in time for the holidays. However, while they could have just as easily continued down the feminist route of The Invisible Man, which is, let's face it, the last Universal monster movie that actually turned a profit, NOSFERATU took a swing by making it a cold, hypnotic, beautiful, and unsettling in a way that only Robert Eggers can do. And that's why I applaud it. So in my humble opinion, if you only see one movie this holiday season, between Christmas and New Year's, I would highly recommend NOSFERATU. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a share, a thumbs up, comment down below, check out some of the other videos that we have right here, and I will see you next time.
And in making horror movies, I get to explore fear.
Drop on by the Clown Cafe. Drop on by the Clown Cafe. The grub is downright gruesome, but your appetites obey. 'Cause food's a little funny. Food's a little funny. Food's a little